And we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Suits entitled Stalking Horse, which I feel like I'm pretty well versed on metaphors and things like that. And I hadn't heard that one before. So that's just neither here nor there. This was episode 15 of season 8, which this is the last episode 15 of any season we'll ever have, because the next season's only going to have 10. That's all just kind of hitting me. And we have our finale next week, which is really exciting. And tonight's episode, I would say, is a little controversial. There was some stuff that I saw a lot of people up in arms about. I was perhaps a little up in arms about as well. So I'm really excited to get into it. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. And I'm really excited to hear your rating, of course, as always. So I'm going to toss it to my lovely guest, Shana, to start us off with the ratings. Shana, what did you think of tonight's episode? What does it get on a scale from 1 to 5?
The content was a 0, but the execution was solid.
The content was a 0, but the execution was solid. So, like, bad story choices, but well done. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and the Sam and Lewis thing was good, but like the A plot was more like a F plot. So I can't give it a definitive number because
Yeah, I'm seeing possibly some low numbers in the chat as well. My hair is messed today. Victoria gives it a 2.2, which is pretty low. Rachel says the last 1 minute was a 5 because Darby made her cry. And My Little Rabbit says hello, and she agrees with Shana. Rachel says, I'm so over this angst. It sounds like, yeah, the angst is kind of getting to be a bit much, but right now the angst is not even, wow, every time I try to fix my hair, it just gets worse. The angst is not even like pining, I suppose, I guess I should say, where it's a classic case of like one side thinks the other side's undivided, or like a Katrina Brian thing where they can't be together because of other things, which is kind of how Harvey and Donna started. Like they couldn't be together because they worked, whatever. And now it's just this weird sort of, do you trust me or not? And it's like, this is so stupid. Like, of course, Harvey and Donna trust each other. Like, we've been over this a million times. Stormy says, I'll give it a 2.5. Sasha says, Donna, I can't. And My Little Rabbit says, like I told Shana earlier, it reminded me of a collection of vignettes. Ooh, that's an interesting take. Tell me more about that. So, are you saying the stories were kind of disjointed from each other, perhaps? I would rate tonight's episode maybe a 3 out of 5. There were elements of it that were really great, elements that were almost 5s, right? I really liked getting to see flashback Donna. I thought pairing Lewis with Sam was fantastic. I thought the Katrina and Brian stuff was a bit too circular, but their dynamic together on screen is really fun. They're really engaging to watch, whether you want them to be friends or work together or more than whatever, that's a fun addition to the show. The Harvey and Donna stuff, it was angsty, but it almost felt like this unnecessary circle back to, does Donna trust Harvey? Does Harvey just trust Donna? And those themes that we've seen and we've visited over and over, and this time around, it wasn't that it was out of character, it was in character, but it was unnecessarily distraught. So, and then we had the return of Daniel Hardman at the end. What did you think of that?
Like, I guess if you're going to completely erase all the forward movement you've made with your current characters, except one, then you might as well magically pop back someone from back in the day as part of the conflict, just for shits and giggles. I don't think it's necessary to have another finale that's like, ooh, the firm's in trouble because, like, I mean, how incompetent are these lawyers that their firm is in trouble of going out of business because of something shady, like all the time? I mean, at this point, they've had this like rotating list of name partners. They've had a rotating cycle of managing partners. They've had they've had like various parts of the law come for them, the SEC, the ethics board, the whatever. Like, I mean, do we need Daniel Hardman also back? I mean, what Harvey did was wrong, but he did it for the right reason. Or, well, I guess the wrong
there's a lot of people in
because,
the chat agreeing with you.
yeah.
Steph says the firm is in trouble. Wow, that's new. Samantha says, I think it was more along the lines of choosing between two guys she really cares about and less about trusting Harvey. Yeah, it is kind of her having to choose between her significant other and Harvey. That's true. And that aspect was more interesting. But at the same time, they have had Donna make that choice before. And then they've referenced her making that choice like prior to season 1 as well.
Yeah.
And she always chooses Harvey in terms of who she trusts for good reason, you know. And she chooses her career as well. So it's kind of, it's not just choosing Harvey. She's also choosing herself by choosing Harvey. And likewise, he chooses her. When he gets promoted, she gets promoted. When she wants something, she gets whatever she wants. You know, she has control, you know. So they've visited those themes before, and now they're just sort of visiting them again, but this time she's dating a client. It's not really that different than what we've covered before. And it's not that I don't want more angst. I do want more angst. I want more angst than even this is. I just wish it was more like pining and, you know, the unrequited feelings type of thing inserted into the situation and not just so unspoken so as to be almost too redundant to storylines that they've had before. Steph says it was weird how Hardman appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. Stormy says, oh, yay, Daniel Hardman said no one ever. Samantha says, Hardman is annoying. I never need to see his face on my screen again. Sasha says, Donna is always the weak link in Darby, especially at work. From the early seasons when she wasn't able to trust Harvey, talking about her screw-up with the memo, to later seasons when she wrongfully claimed herself to be a part of NTSB. Yeah. So I think that in two ways, Donna is the weak link in Darby. So in one way, she is very self-reliant because how she's always had to be. So while she will rely on Harvey at times, she doesn't rely on Harvey as much as he relies on her. So he trusts her more than she trusts him. He gives her access to all of his resources, all of his time, all of his everything, right? Generally, or he, especially when she was his executive assistant or whatever. And she doesn't always give him all of her, right? Likewise, she's the weaker link because when it comes to the romantic aspect of things, he has been, I think, more straightforward or maybe less in denial about the fact that he has feelings for her, even when he's sort of saying no to those feelings. He hasn't hidden the fact that he, you know, flirts with her, is, you know, sort of open about feelings for her. She, however, has always been far more in denial than he is. So it's sort of this twofold thing where she does trust him more than she trusts anybody else, but she doesn't trust anybody else that much. And she depends on him more than she depends on anybody else, but she doesn't depend on anybody else that much. So it's not that there's a low bar being set for both those things, whereas he puts a lot of trust in her and he depends on her a lot. So it's not really an equal street. I don't know. Shana, what do you think about their dynamic right now?
It's trash. It's, you know, she lied. She said she was going to give him time and wait until she heard from him. She didn't. And then she like wanted to throw it in his face that she implied that he was only upset with her because he was jealous of her boyfriend or something, which she was trying to like rub in his face the whole time. Like, I don't know. Like, that's how it felt to me, especially because she's always been like a don't mix business and pleasure. But she comes to the boss man like, I want to take my boyfriend out for dinner to celebrate. So can you tell me when this contract is going to be signed? Like, and I mean, she did something that she can talk about it was choosing herself over the firm, but like her livelihood depends on said firm. And she's been around it enough years to know that what she did put everybody at that firm in jeopardy because of the violation of privilege from like such a high ranking attorney.
Right.
And she didn't even consider that or want to hear it. And she's like, I couldn't see somebody I cared about get hurt when I could stop it. Okay, so you're saying you care about nobody here after 13, 14, however many years it's been, because they don't really keep track well. You care about this guy you've been on a few dates with. And it's not the Donna that I know. It's not, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but it's not the female empowerment, having it all, putting yourself ahead of, what you feel obligated to do. It's not that. It's just really, really selfish and
yeah, it's definitely not a female empowerment storyline. Let's start with that. Donna is a powerful character. Donna is a woman who is powerful. Donna is a feminist, probably, but this storyline is not a feminist empowerment storyline. This is a storyline about a woman dating a average / forgettable guy. I mean, he's just fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with Thomas. He seems a bit patronizing sometimes, and he seems kind of funny at other times, and he's just average to me. A powerful businessman, so I suppose that, by those standards, he's whatever. But anyways, he's there. And Donna, because she's dating a client, is forced into some sort of ethically ambiguous situations where she's having to make some morally gray choices, right? Because she has put herself in a position of dating a client. Harvey has certainly been in this position before, both in terms of flirting with clients, hiring Mike, the whole situation with Scotty and Harvey. That's Scotty, that is their ship name. Yep. The whole situation with Paula, dating his therapist. He's certainly been in situations before where there's been this conflict of interests or morally gray situation. So I wouldn't blame Donna for making questionable choices when she's in a position where every choice really is questionable. It's just frustrating to me because she's not making the choices I would want her to make, with the understanding that those choices, like she's either going to be withholding super critical information from her boyfriend that could cause him to lose tons of money and the company he's been building for his entire life, or she could be kind of betraying her closest friend and coworker and company, and they could lose a client. So Thomas stands to lose way more than her firm does. I get that. Thomas could lose his entire career and company, and the firm could lose one client, right? But I would still want her to choose the firm, right? Because that's the connection we've seen her develop this whole time. That's the connection we've seen for 8 seasons. That's the connection that includes Harvey and her friends. So I hesitate to call her selfish, because in neither situation was she really benefiting herself. With that said, you point out some very good issues with the way she has been written the last couple episodes. It's not bad, it's bizarre. I mean, there is some aspects of it that are good. There's some aspects of it that are bad. Donna has been portrayed wonderfully by Sarah Rafferty. There's no issue with the acting and that portrayal. But there are just some bizarre lines that seem very not Suits-esque that are coming out of her. So the so Donna's very confident and will refer to herself as hot a lot, but the whole line where she was like, because you woke up next to a 5'9" stack of awesomeness just didn't sound like Donna. That was bizarre. Like, you could make that exact same type of line happen where she's, you know, kind of complimenting herself in sort of a cocky, silly way, and that would be fun, but just not that exact phrasing. That was so odd. It seemed like somebody that wrote for Donna having maybe seen one scene of her ever. And the line of, oh, I want to take Thomas out to dinner. How's this deal coming along? That was bizarre. Again, that was a missed opportunity for angst as well, where we could have seen Donna instead sort of keeping those details of her relationship out of Harvey's arena because she wants to keep those arenas separate and she doesn't want to push that in his face. So that was just, there's just been some very odd choices where I'm not going to say she's doing anything wrong, and I understood why, you know, she has more investment in the firm than she has in Thomas at this point, right? She's been investing years in the firm, the people there, and a few dates with Thomas, but Thomas stood more to lose. So she chose to help him. That's not my issue, although I would have written it the other way. My issue is just the micro writing around it. And the micro writing is usually the strength for these characters when the overall storyline is, you know, falling apart or redundant or whatever. And something about her dialogue is so strange to me. The chat is going off, by the way, right now. And I wanted to highlight a comment from Phoebe. I miss when I did this show on Smile Time and I used to be able to drag comments onto the screen so you guys could see them, but they're in the chat below. She says, I mean, Harvey screws over everyone in the very first episode of the show by hiring Mike, and then the show has Donna and every other woman cover for both of them for the next few years, so why anyone on this show trusts anyone else is a mystery. That's such a good point. And Stormy points out Donna maybe doesn't rely on Harvey because of her dad. We haven't met him, but he seems like a flake that her mom always sacrificed for. Steph says, yes, Cammie, Donna always sent mixed signals to Harvey when it comes to her feelings. And Samantha says, when in doubt, call your mom. And a lot of people in the chat agreeing with you that the storyline is so bad for Donna. I also agree that this is not a great storyline for Donna. It's hardly a storyline for Donna at all, to be honest. It's a lot of, there's screen time, but is it really her story? A lot of people pointing out that they just started dating while she's known Harvey for years. A very good point. And Sasha pointing out Harvey also could lose his entire career over this. Is that, do you feel the same, that Harvey stood as much to lose?
Yeah, I mean, attorney-client privilege is a huge, huge thing. And again, like, Donna's been around the law enough to know, and when he didn't want to tell her, she should have respected that. Like, that's like the other thing. Like, yeah, she was in a morally gray place where, like, oh, how am I going to keep it? But she demanded information. Harvey told her no, like, 2 or 3 times. Like, and I get that they have this tit for tat, but, like, he was, the way his demeanor when he was like, I can't tell you, like, that should have told her enough without her, or like essentially making him say something. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, you know, just a client, like, his entire moral code is based on loyalty. So, and the other thing is, you know, Lewis was telling Craig from Degrassi when he was going to leave, you know, this city is a lot smaller than you think. Once it gets out there that after all the other trouble the firm has had, oh, and by the way, Harvey took a case where there was, you know, a conflict and then he violated privilege. Like, that's not just one client like Donna made it out to be.
Right.
And the other thing, again, you know, quite frankly, like, Thomas fucked up too. Once she told him information he shouldn't have known, and he still has the availability to take that deal with his original person, that was actually an even better deal than was coming from this guy, Simon, who screwed everybody over. Like, he chose to be a hard ass about it. Like, so I don't really, like, I mean, he was hurting himself at that point. So she's all, oh, I'm sorry about with him because he's so kind and because he's so truthful and blah, blah. Like, oh, stuff it. Like,
it kind of felt like he was sticking it to Harvey just to stick it to Harvey. Well, sticking it to the firm just to stick to the firm, not really to Harvey, but yeah.
And the thing is, like, the firm went in, like, not in bad faith. And that's the worst part of all of this. Like, even once Harvey knew that his client did something wrong, he was trying really hard to find a solution that worked for everyone. And he had a backup plan to his backup plan. And like, Donna, of all people, is the one that ruined it. Like, I mean, he's like, get out of my office. And I'm like, same. I mean, I wouldn't even want to look at her knowing that, you know?
No, I mean, I would understand why she did it. And I would understand I would understand that she meant well. I think that she was in a difficult situation dating a client and having information that the client needed, and she was responding to a situation that already had ethically ambiguous content in it. There were already things done wrong. There were already people lying. There were already people in the firm who knew things they weren't supposed to know. You know, there were all sorts of issues in place. He was being lied to, not by the firm necessarily, but by others. And she was trying to say, okay, there's been a lot of lies going around. Let's try to get the truth to the good people. So she was being a bit idealistic. She wanted good people to not be lied to. I would not do that. I wouldn't do that for a new boyfriend or an old boyfriend or anything like that. But I understand that she meant well. She saw wrong being done, and she was trying to fix the wrong, fix the lies to good people. For Harvey, he also knew that this was an ethically ambiguous situation and that she was going to have to respond to it within her moral code. But he has himself caused many ethically ambiguous situations that Donna herself has had to fix. So while I don't think, A, that this storyline went the way I would want it to go, and B, that this was a worthwhile storyline to waste any of the last few episodes of this show on, I don't think that he's in any position to sort of hold a long-term grudge against her for this. He understands that she did this because she's a good person, because she's a better person than him sometimes. It's just not what I would do because I'm not that good of a person. Rachel C says, I understand why Donna told Thomas if Harvey isn't the one, then Thomas is. I think she knew she didn't want the past to repeat itself. For example, choosing Harvey over Mark. Stormy says, I think Suits sacrifices the female characters, which pisses me off. Donna, Katrina, and every other female character deserves better writing. Victoria points out that she's doing this for a guy she's known for like 5 minutes. Yep. Very true. And Sasha says, basically, Donna showed loyalty to the wrong guy, a guy who will not show loyalty to the firm. Samantha says maybe they are trying to use Donna's mistake to push a Harvey and Donna confrontation. Not that I approve, but I'm trying to make sense of this. Yeah. Rachel C says it's not Donna's fault. Harvey broke privilege. Yeah, it's an ethically ambiguous situation. There was no answer where all right is done, where it's only 100% good. All of the possible solutions had bad things being done, and Donna can be very idealistic and has a strong moral compass, and she knows if her firm has done something wrong, the firm which she is not a secretary at anymore, where she is COO, then she wants to try to right that wrong and give her clients good information. It was overstepping, and again, I wouldn't do it, but I also wouldn't have included the storyline or wasted time on it anyways. But that's sort of my stance. I don't know.
The whole show's, I guess, part of it's the issue here is that the whole show's been kind of from Harvey's point of view, and like sitting in his chair, she lost faith in him. She lied to him. She kind of stabbed him in the back from where he was sitting. And it's hard to watch. And it's not the kind of hard to watch that's good. It's just hard to watch. Especially, I mean, this is the same person that was in tears about, oh no, I love my job. I can't lose my job. And then she does something for just one client, if we're going to use her own words, about the other guy that really can put not just her job, but everybody's in jeopardy. And it's very at odds with who the character is supposed to be.
Samantha says we need to keep track of who is head writing the episodes. Maybe that will give us a clue as to why Donna's written so badly. She's written very oddly, and again, the macro writing for her, the overall decisions, and like the type of character she is not really the problem in my opinion. I think it's the micro writing, some of the dialogue, and some of the micro decisions are just very odd. There'll be whole episodes that go by where, while she's still fantastic, they'll just be action after action that doesn't seem like her, and not in the way that, you know, people grow and develop. But I wouldn't want her to be like, oh, let's go back to season 1 Donna. Not at all. Like, I want development. I want different perspectives and different storylines. But it'll just be like very. It's like when you have somebody writing for a character who you can tell they don't like the character. Sometimes I can tell that the writing for Donna is written by somebody who doesn't like her as much as I do. That is kind of how I would summarize it. That maybe she's in hands of someone who doesn't really. It's in the hands of somebody who doesn't see her as a goddess, because I'm sure there's many people writing for Donna who would see her as, you know, vulnerable sometimes, insecure sometimes, fallible sometimes, and that's fine. That's good. Those are all part of who she is, and we shouldn't hold her to a higher standard than anybody else. But maybe sometimes it comes across as she's being written by somebody who doesn't like her as much. So Rachel C says, aside from Darby, Katherine Heigl is a great addition to Suits. I love Samantha. I agree. Sasha says she comes in late to work. She makes a big deal of staying late. Chooses Thomas over the firm, and to think she fought so hard to get this position. Yeah, I can see some of those points. Phoebe says the show repeats storylines, forgets established characterization for the plot regularly. The women are primarily there to service men. Yeah, I think that's really the problem. Donna's inconsistency is based on her functionality revolving around, well, this episode she has to further Harvey's growth in this, and this episode she has to further Lewis's growth in that, and this episode she just has to further the storyline. Yeah. Stormy says, I think this show is written from such a male point of view. A female character does the same thing as a male character, and she's treated far worse for it. I definitely think that's happening to Donna right now. I think that some of her micro writing and dialogue is just absolutely not making any sense, and I'm sure there is a guy to blame for that. But her macro writing is often just such a male perspective of give her more power, have her date a client, that'll put her in charge of it. It's like written by a guy who's having a midlife crisis, who wants to get a promotion and date a 19-year-old. It's just, yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing for Donna, as some sort of male fantasy projected onto her. Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. And that's, I mean, and again, you know, we can talk about kind of gender bias, maybe is the way to put it, but, you know, the way that she's being written, I mean, at least for me, especially since the show's been like the Harvey show, she's being written like it's kind of her fault. I have a feeling if Harvey did the exact same thing, it would be written sympathetically. The problem is, you know, you can't go based on what you want it to be. You got to go based on the way the story is presenting it. And the way the story is presenting it is that she just did a whole hell of a lot of hurt and a lot of damage to a very long-standing, at least duel between her and Harvey at this point relationship. It's not fair to the viewers. It's not fair to the character. Like, she may be fake, but it's still not fair. It's disappointing.
Sasha says, I miss Jessica. Her storyline was so well done. That's a good point. I miss Jessica as well. We got some new footage tonight in the Pearson trailer, and I also noticed that there was some footage from Pearson in the USA Network highlight reel that aired sort of in the middle of the episode, which is fun. Steph says she wishes they would show flashbacks to the dinner party with Donna's mom, and I quite agree with that. I think that would be fantastic to see. I don't know that we're really expecting many or any flashbacks in the finale next week, but I know the finale next week will be the last true finale for this show, because going into the next season, we'll just have 10 episodes and that's it. So what would otherwise have been the mid-season finale will be the finale. So it's just going to be a little different. This is the end of the last full season of Suits. So what would you like to see in the finale, Shana?
I don't even know anymore. I used to say, oh, Darby, but like, there's just been so much damage done. I mean, I'll probably like it if it ever happens, but it won't feel the same. I'd like to see some characters actually behaving the way that their long-term arcs have implied that they ought. I would like to see writing that's done in a way that actually, if it's in response to viewers, it doesn't feel like well, you asked for it, kind of screw you, because I feel like we've gotten a lot of that over the past couple seasons. I don't know. Like, I want peace. I want to be able to enjoy it. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. I really wish it would be enjoyable and it wouldn't have to be, well, this was complete crap, but, I don't want there to be a but. I want there to be like, this was this is a show worth watching.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I know that if or when Harvey and Donna get together, which I assume will not be in the last real finale next week, and they'll tease us that it's going to happen in the last 10 episodes, and it'll be rushed or lackluster or whatever, because they have set themselves up to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when it does happen, I'll still enjoy aspects of it. It's just at this point, rooting for it, while still rooting for it, is rooting for, second best, like settling. We didn't get it when the show was in its prime. We didn't get even really much build up and angst or romantic-y bits or whatever while the show was in its prime, when we still had Mike and Rachel and Jessica around and all of that, the full crew. So when they get together, if they get together in the end, not next week necessarily, but next season, it'll be during a half-season farewell bit with most of the original cast gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate for me as a viewer, and I would imagine for writers and creators, that's an unfortunate position to have written yourself into as well. And to some extent, they could not have predicted some of the cast leaving, but they could predict that they have X amount of time to work with, and maybe you don't want to save key bits till the very end. I think this show needs more confidence in its ability to write couples after they've gone together. I know it kind of seems sometimes like we're just watching for Harvey and Donna to get together, but I would keep watching after they got together if we were ever in that position to do so. So yeah, that's, I think, the issue they've kind of got themselves into. And I expect for next week, we'll see Donna and Thomas have some sort of angsty breakup. And going into the last season, we'll start some rushed Harvey and Donna build up, and it'll be good, fine, fantastic, but not what it could be. Sasha says it almost seems like the creator himself does not want Darby, and maybe it is something that the network might be pushing for. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the Donna storylines are getting thrown at us. Like, you wanted a Donna storyline? Well, here's a Donna storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted Harvey and Donna angst? Well, here's a Harvey and Donna. It's like it's being written by somebody who doesn't like what they're writing, quite frankly. Samantha also said prior that because it's, let me scroll up so I'm representing her comment correctly. She says, to play devil's advocate, this is Korsh's first real show. He's been on it for a while, but most of the shows revolved around the guys. Maybe he hasn't learned how to write women yet. That is a fair point, no shade.
Employ women then. There are
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah, I mean, the show does have some female writers, but sometimes the creator of a given character, it really does ride on that initial creation. Allie B says, I thought the parallel with Donna doubting her dad being able to come through with a deal, knowing that they weren't going to get the Paris trip back, and Donna doubting Harvey being able to come through was an interesting choice. Donna has daddy issues and Harvey has mommy issues. Allie B, I love that take. I'm gonna end on that take. We're all just messed up, aren't we? That was a good interpretation. Well, Shana, between now and the finale next week, if anybody wants to find you, I've got your information in the description down below, and you can come chat with us on Twitter, whatever social media platform you want. Talk to me and Shana about suits in next week as we gear up for the finale. I will see you then. Thank you for joining me as always. Good to see your pretty face. Bye, guys.